the college football experience. Umass Minutemen 2024 season preview episode. I will fly solo if I have to. Excited to talk UMass football. I was spot on. I went back and listened to my preview a year ago of them. And first off, thank you to Don Brown and UMass for winning on the money line against New Mexico State on a game that I was on. But also, I was on. I said, I think it's a 3-9 or 4-8 team. And I think someone in the chat asked me, what's the best case scenario? And I think I said best case scenario 6-6, worst case scenario 1-11. But for my money, they're 3-9 or 4-8. So let's all take the over, which I did lock up, and it hit as they went 3-9. We will talk all about it, folks. YouTube.com/The College Experience as we break down this Minutemen 2024 team. And obviously Don Brown enters year 3. And I think you should be encouraged if you're a UMass fan of what you have ahead of you. There was news a couple months back that UMass is entering the MAC. And I think that is a good thing. So we'll talk about that. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swing It Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Sometimes you got to have a short memory. And if you're a UMass fan, you got to have that. They had their best season a year ago since 2018. It's been tough since, the Mark Whipple era. So yeah, hop on over there and, look, I feel like you should hop on over to the McGurk because people are giving it a hard time. I saw someone release something saying it's the worst stadium. No, they don't know fucking stadiums. All right. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast, which later tonight we'll be talking Ivy League, staying in the Northeast. But yeah, UMass, I think it's a good time to be a UMass Minutemen fan because I think Don Brown's got this program back on the right track. And with that, with the pending move to the MAC, I think it's going to help them a lot. I'll put it like this. When you schedule independently, we did the Army preview last night. Go listen to the Army preview, me and Patty C. And when you schedule independently, it can get dicey because like take this year, UMass plays they were one of the teams that were the SEC expanded to add in. They said blue bloods like Texas and Oklahoma, but you forgot UMass was on there too because they have 3 games against the SEC. And when you schedule independently, you're going to get that. I think the MAC schedule is going to help them out so much. And I think, now with this 12-team playoff, which I fully expect to expand in the coming years, that I think there's a better path to the playoffs in the MAC. You win the MAC. It wasn't that long ago that Western Michigan was the highest ranked group of 5 with PJ Fleck. Toledo almost had an undefeated season last year. They just had a couple 2-point loss in a game. They were up majority of the game to the Illini. They would have been in the mix if so. So I think it is much more clear in the MAC. And I think it's good news for UMass moving forward. But let's get to this year's team here because I did make some slides here. We'll have a guest join us in a little bit here. But Don Brown, where am I at with Don Brown? Well, I think he's a really good football coach. First off, I think he's actually kind of underrated. You look at the job he did. So he's 99-65 as a head coach in 14 years, but you look at where he was and what he's done. This is his second stint at UMass. You go back and look at what he did in the first stint. And I think you will be impressed, even though, they were in the FCS at that point. I still think it was a pretty remarkable job. If you don't recall, they won the national championship at one point there. So getting him, who spent his whole damn career in the Northeast, really, he was a basketball, a baseball coach. He got everything, but he coached in football all over the Northeast, whether it was fucking Dartmouth, Yale, Brown, UMass Northeastern. He's been everywhere. Maryland, UConn, Boston College. So I think the shoe fits. And if you look at the first time he was at UMass, 6-5, 7-4, 13-2, 10-3, and 7-5. Yeah. Okay. So they didn't win a national championship, but they got to the championship game in 2006. If he could do that again, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be a good team to me. Like they're the flagship school in the state. There's not a lot of schools playing D1 football up in the Northeast, so that's an advantage. You know what I mean? What do you got? Boston College, UConn, Syracuse, Temple. And then I guess you could say Pitt or Penn State. And Rutgers. You don't have that many FBS teams in that area. I guess Army and Buffalo, but still, I feel like UMass can have a leg up on those schools, being that they're the flagship school of the state and they're a well-coached team, and they actually do have some history on their side. They have not been I know recently they've been a fucking doormat, but not that long ago did they have success, and I think that's why you should be encouraged if you're a UMass fan of entering the MAC. But Don Brown, I do think, is a good coach. His OC is Shane Montgomery. His DC is Keith Dadzinski. Now he is 0-2 against UConn. If you want to take a shit on his tenure so far, you look right there. On the second stint, he did have some wins in the first stint, but 17 of his 24 games he's coached as a UMass head coach have been against bowl teams. And this is what I mean by them joining the MAC. They're going to get to relax. You know what I mean? They're going to get to say, okay, hey, now we're not playing 3 fucking SEC teams. And also what they got, look at last year's schedule. You had Toledo on there. You had, Penn State, you had Liberty, you're playing, the schedule was much harder independent than it will be in the MAC. And I think you can build culture by winning seasons over there. And now with the 12-team playoff, I think there's a better path to the championship game than saying living life independently. I said the same for Army. I'll say the same for UMass here. So they join the MAC next year, folks, not this year. A couple people I've heard thought it was this year. It's not this year. But I think he's a very good football coach. I think UMass should be lucky that they have Don Brown. And as much as me and Patty C have been pushing the envelope for Steve Belichick, who's currently the defensive coordinator for Washington, and maybe he can end up, taking over for Don Brown down the road. That would be fantastic because the shoe fits there too. But and by the way, like I said, the McGurk, not a horrible stadium. Some people think it's a horrible stadium. I saw a video on that. I'll push back all day. Look, I am joined by somebody here. All right, you know him from the college basketball experience. Give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, host of the Big 12 College Experience, host, and maybe UMass will be in the Big 12. Who knows? Host of the Ryan and Rush Show. Give it up for Ryan McIntyre. What is up, brother?
What's up, man? Yeah, I like UMass for my guy Frank Martin's basketball coach. So you said, let's talk a little UMass and talk a little Don Brown. I'm all in. Let's go Minutemen.
There we go, dude. I think Don Brown is the guy for the job. Like, you look. First off, that's the best season. It sounds crazy, but that's the best season UMass has had since Mark Whipple left, and they shouldn't even have fired Mark Whipple. But I actually believe he's a very good football coach. Like, to me, if you would have told me if Boston College hired him as head coach, I'd say, oh, that's a great hire for Boston College. So I do think he is the right guy for the job. You look back a season ago. They did go 3-9, but they beat New Mexico State, who won 10 games, beat them by double digits in Las Cruces, won at Mikey Stadium there against Army, a team that was, a bowl eligible team there. And then they beat an FCS Merrimack. Sure, they got their ass whooped, in some games, but when you're independent, your schedule's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's that? How about what they did week 0, winning at New Mexico State? I mean, New Mexico State was a 10-win team last year, so definitely headed in the right direction with Don Brown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like, I actually like this year, I think you got to be patient. And by the way, I don't know if you caught the beginning of this where I said, I projected them. I locked the over last year. The win total was 1.5, I believe. and I was like, they're going to win 3 to 4 games. Now it was 3, and I called for the New Mexico State game on the money line. But I did not think they would beat Army. I said maybe. I thought they would beat New Mexico, which they lost by 3. I thought they'd get a clean sweep over the state of New Mexico. But they lost to Eastern Michigan by 2. This was not that far off from a team that could have been flirting with a bowl game there. And what I see, even though from a returning production point of view, you might not be, it might not be comparable to Virginia Tech, which returns everybody, but I think the right pieces return. We're going to talk about it, folks. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the Umass Minutemen 2024 season preview episodes brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast. Yes. And the Sports Gambling Podcast just launched their 32 NFL team preview series, 32 episodes, 32 teams. All right. And as a bonus team preview, they will include a code word at the end of every single episode. Submit the 32 code word phrase at the end of all that, and you could be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa future bet. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. I still can't get over that bullshit wacky ass NFL kickoff. They got to delete that. Control Alt Delete, Goodell. All right. But hop on over there and check that out. And UMass, look, this is NFL country over there. I don't know why, because that's where like the sport of fucking football was created in the Northeast. But UMass, I think before you're kind of hopeless. You're just like, what are we doing? We can't make the playoff as an independent. No one will ever give us respect. We don't have a TV contract. I think the jump to the MAC, it's still going to be hard to get to the playoff. But I'm saying like the path is easier. The access to nationwide television, with Maction and in November's is more accessible. People can get more familiar with your program, with your team. And I think it's a win-win situation. Now I know for basketball, we might talk differently on this because their basketball program was, they had Dr. J one time, they went to the Final Four with John Calipari, and Frank Martin's building this program up over there. But for football, I think this is a fucking home run, dude. Am I crazy?
No, absolutely not. I was getting ready to say for basketball, 2 different conversations. We'll have that conversation down the road. But for football, this is great because we talk about it all the time, Colby, is you got these mid-major leagues, the Sun Belts, the Conference USAs, they need to play on the weeknights so that they can get in the national eye, get that brand up like the MAC has done. The MAC has been the staple of what's great about college football, especially in the month of November. I wish they would do it more than November, but at least they have done November. And for that, they have a brand. It's recognized. Everybody gets jacked up that first Tuesday in November for Bowling Green, Akron, and 20 degrees, $60-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, that's what Maxon's all about. And UMass fits right in, I think.
Yeah. And 2 million people watch those games. You know what I mean? Like, go look at some of the TV numbers. You'll get like 1.9 million. I'm sorry, UMass. I love you, but if you're going to build this thing, you're not getting 2 million people to watch you. I even bet when they play Georgia, they don't get 2 million people to watch. So I think it's just the absolute slam dunk for the football program. Basketball program, we'll talk on the college basketball experience about that journey there. But yes, let's dive into this. Well, first I try to do best win for the group of 5, worst loss for the Power 5. With UMass, it's a little bit of a challenge. You really got to go deep sea diving here. They beat App State, believe it or not, in one of their first years. I think it was their first or second year in the FBS, 30-27 in overtime. They won at BYU. What's up? What's up, Rush? Subscribe to the Big 12 Experience. That was not that long ago. I think it was 2017. They also beat Georgia Southern. They beat the Flaming Libs of Liberty. They won last year at New Mexico at Army. These are your best wins of the turn of the century, not including the FCS playoff runs they've had. I mean, the elephant in the room is BYU. They won in Provo. And what the fuck? Why do I not? I don't even remember that game. I'm like, I must have been like, there was a few games where I went, like, I know I went to like Baton Rouge to go to it, like where I just got completely hammered. And I don't remember a lot of the outcomes of that particular weekend. I had to be one of those weekends because I've been doing the show for that long, and I'm like, wait, why do I not remember that? But yeah, that's got to be the one. That's got to be the fucking one. Now you're like, that's a program changing win. How they weren't able to build on that? Unbelievable. We're going to talk the offense in a second here for the Minutemen, but I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Umass Minutemen 2024 season preview episodes brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 pick'em entries, and then you go streaking, people. If you get on an 11-0 run, you can win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. They just announced college football best ball. We're going to be covering that. I'm excited. For 20 years we've been hoping for that. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So what are you doing? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. So if you're thinking about trying to go check out the Green Monster, bust out that Game Time app. All right. Game Time, and the fact that they're now the authorized ticket marketplace of MLB, that means that you're going to be able to get tickets even faster and easier than before. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices and views from your seat. I emphasize that views from your seat because you ever just trusted the internet and just like gone to like, I'm like the fucking idiot before where I would just like load up like, hey, SanDiegoPadres.com or whatever. Just type that into Google and it gives you the team website. They show you some graphic from like fucking 1990. It looks like, where you pick your seat. You know what I mean? It's just the directional arrow on like something. You're like, oh, okay, I'll take that. And then you show up and there's a pillar in front of your face, right? And it's just terrible from there. Next thing you know, you start arguing with the date you brought, and sorry, maybe I won't buy you a fucking hot dog. All right, and then you're just sitting there chugging $35 beers by yourself while the game's going on. Like this shit matters. All right. And that's why Game Time is fantastic. You load it up. It's going to show you. It's like they flew a drone over every single seat. You're going to see exactly your point of view to the field. It's fantastic. So yeah, you got to check it out, folks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. For college football too, if you're planning on getting out to the McGurk, bust out the old Game Time app. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we are back talking Minutemen football and the offense. And if you're wondering what the NA means, well, normally I tell you your conference rank there, not available because they're independent. They were 95th in the nation scoring per game last season, 23.2 points per game, 86th in yards at 356.3 yards per game, 79th in passing at 214.1 yards per game, 84th in rushing. When I pulled these up, I actually thought these numbers were better than what I projected. Mac, do you think if I had told you before this episode that these would be their numbers, would you actually be like kind of encouraged?
Yeah, because like you talked about, their schedule's not a cakewalk. I mean, they had games at Penn State with all those draft picks where they put up a goose egg, which is what you expect. And they also went to Auburn. So, I mean, that's 2 Power 5s that they had to play. They played Liberty as well, who ran the table last year. So their schedule was hard, and you would expect them to be in the hundreds if I had to guess. But yeah, this is more encouraging.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like one of the elements to me that was a vital blow in that Penn State game that you talk about there, was the fact, I believe it was the Penn State game, that Fumachikan, their quarterback, got dinged up in. Yeah. That guy, he was a former Clemson recruit. He played at Clemson. You got to have him healthy, and to me, when you play all those, like this year, they get 3 SEC teams. When you play all those teams, your chance of injury go up because you can't block fucking Penn State's defensive line. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't schedule it. It's a money game. I'm sure you need the money, but at the same time, maybe you don't throw as many passes. You know, you're going to take that loss. But Fumachi Khan, kind of, I think is like a real difference maker in this offense. So if they protect him, I know he's back from the injury. They're excited to have him back. It could be a good year for this offense. You look at it, the returning starters, only 4 starters back. So you would think, oh my God, let's fade UMass. No, Fumachi Khan is a stud. Anthony Simpson, not to toot my own horn over here, but I did listen to last year's preview before this episode where I raved about Anthony Simpson coming in from Arizona. And if you caught that New Mexico State game, Simpson kind of was a very good DFS play. He's back at the wideout spot. Only 2 of 5 back at the O-line. Yes, they lost some key pieces. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and bullshit you. Only having 2 back on the O-line is something we should be concerned about, but it's also year 3. So like, I think in general, the depth on this team will be in a better spot than previous years. And by the way, Simpson, 57 catches, 792 yards last season. Top receiver there. The portal it's always going to fuck up this team. I'm not going to bullshit you. Like the portal they're going to have to battle this every year. Brady Olson, who once started, heads out to Central Connecticut State, who's on the schedule this year, by the way. Carlos Davis heads out to Towson. And then a slew. Well, the big one there is Lynch Adams, who was a stud for them at the running back spot. K'Ron Lynch Adams, who rushed for just about 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns for UMass. He heads out to Michigan State. Once again, it's going to be hard to stop this. George Johnson also heads out to FAU. Christian Wells, who I thought was a good get last year, it didn't work out. This is one I was wrong on. He came in from App State, and I thought that he would really help out this team. He only had 11 catches, 169 yards, and a score. He's in the portal. I still think that guy's talented. Whoever gets him. Tight end Jackson Manning heads out to Kennesaw State. A couple offensive linemen also hit the portal, but I don't believe they were starters. Let's talk about what they brought in though, because I feel like we should be encouraged by what they brought in, because losing Lynch Adams is a fucking gigantic blow. They go out and they get first a little QB depth with Jankowski from Akron, but to me Maction, get familiar, folks. They bring in Brandon Campbell, a running back from Houston. I think this is one Big 12 experience coming into the program could potentially help. I don't think he's going to start, but he could push for playing time. CJ Hester also comes in from Western Michigan, but this is the big one here. Frank Ladson Jr. Him and Fumachi Khan both played at Clemson together. And Frank Ladson Jr., by the way, was a 4-star recruit. All right. And he did have a good amount. I think he's got 58 career receptions. He went from Clemson to Miami, but now he comes to UMass. This is a good get. And when I think about loading him up with what's his name, the Arizona transfer, Simpson, I think the receiving core is going to be in a very good spot. I also love this next kid, Sterling Galbon from Jacksonville State. Those are going to be your 3 starting wideouts, I think. And I think that's a decent receiving core. They also went to the FCS ranks to bring in Keyshawn Brown and Jacoby Keeney. And then another one that I want to highlight. If you follow Mountain West football, Dominic Mazzotti was a very good tight end for San Jose State. Brennan Lee's for Arizona. They're able to get the starting tight end for the team that, should have won the Mountain West last year if it wasn't for that Kokanimi rule. And then a slew of offensive linemen. Now, yes, you're bringing in an Ivy League offensive lineman, but some of these guys hit, man. Some of these Ivy League guys that you think just fucking nerds, they can play. Braden Rami coming in from Cal in the Pac-12. Then a slew of other ones. UCLA's Benjamin Roy. To me, I think they did bringing in what's that, 7 offensive lineman transfers?
Depth.
I think the O-line might be better this year than last year, despite only returning 2. And I can tell you this: if Fumachi Khan can stay healthy, the skill position players. Okay, running back, I'll give you. The running back group is not as good, and it ain't gonna be as good as last year. But the skill position players, receivers and tight ends, and I think the O-line might be a little bit better than last year. Call me crazy. I think if as long as Fumachikon stays healthy, I think the offense will be better. What do you think, Mac?
I agree with you, and you make a good point about yes, on paper it looks like they got rated, but the reality is when you do the MAC previews, every MAC team is going to get rated every single year. That's unfortunately at this level, the portal sucks, but for them, this is where coaching and experience matter. Don Brown, you mentioned it. They bring in a shitload of offensive linemen. The wide receiver room looks good on paper. And I think that they're going to be just fine on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, you got to stay proactive. To me, like, okay, it's a two-way street. You're going to take some of our best guys, but it's still 11 on 11. All right. Mm-hmm. And if you can bring in an offensive lineman from UCLA or Cincinnati or Georgia Tech, those guys were once recruited. Now they might not have been able to cut it starting there, but at the same time, that could just be a coaching thing. That could just be, they could be off. It still means that they could be very good offensive linemen at the MAC level or whatever independent level, game in and game out for UMass. That's why I don't panic as much when I see this many offensive linemen coming in. Now, I will say cohesiveness could be an issue because you got to quickly get that together. But I think the offense will be better. I actually think I don't know that I can. Mark Whipple. When Mark Whipple was the head coach here, they had Andy Isabella. That offense could fly. And I thought that when they fired Mark Whipple, I thought it was a ridiculous firing because they almost beat Mississippi State one year. And I just remember thinking, man, this offense is putting up points. How are you going to fire? Like they're producing pros, Andy Isabella and shit. Like, what are you doing here? This is the most talented offense, in my opinion, from a skill position point of view that I can recall since the days of Mark Whipple. The Walt Bell era, no, they never had skill position players like this. So I think in that regard, you should be happy. We'll see how the offensive line works out. Before we talk defense, folks, I want to tell you that the UMass Minutemen season preview episode is brought to you by Rhythm. Look, football season is here, and college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. Yeah, you decide what stats matter most to you, and Rhythm will build a custom model around that. Or if you just want to let Rhythm and its predictive models do all the heavy lifting, you can just do that. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL week 1 and college football week 0. I don't know about you, Mac, but I'm thinking those Yellow Jackets plus 13 can hang with Florida State and Dublin, Ireland. What do you think of that one?
Oh yeah. Yep. Live dog there.
I think so, man. I think so. A lot of new faces for Florida State. Yellow Jackets return a bunch. So check out that. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Love the Circa in Vegas. Just out there at Stadium Swim, having fucking gin and tonics. You know what I mean? Just a great old day in the sun. For me, my Irish ass, I was catching melanoma left and right there. But let me tell you, Derek Stevens has built heaven on planet Earth for a sports fan, and it is the Circa. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel if you win your little shabby little office pool, NFL Survivor. You go 17 weeks picking winners or 18 weeks picking winners. And what do you take home? $500 in a golf club or something? You know what I mean? Like you're going to be sitting there saying, damn it, because those picks would be good anywhere. You would have been a millionaire had you just entered them in Circa Survivor. You got to check it out. If you don't have a trip booked yet for Vegas before football, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go out. You can hang with my pals Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Also, if you want a little help there, promo code SGP15 will save you 15% off your hotel room there at Circa for that weekend. So do that. You do want to sign up in person at Circa between now and September 7th. Obviously the season kicks September 7th. And once that happens, you don't need to fly back every week. You could use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontest.com there, proxy.footballcontest.com. Hop on over there. Use the promo code SGP. It will save you $50 with that. So do that. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right. Back talking Minutemen football, the defense. Whoa, this is Don Brown's specialty, 130th in scoring per game. That was good for what last season? I believe that would be fourth worst. They were 114th in yards though. So it's just the scoring, which I almost think once Fumachikon went down, the offense might have set them up for some bad spots as far as, maybe some turnovers there. 114th in yards. All right. Now I'm a little bit encouraged. And 36th in pass. What the fuck? You going to drop this gem on us here? They're a great passing defense. The problem is the rush defense was 127th. All of that confuses my brain. But hey, if the run defense can get better, the pass defense, all right, top 40 pass defense. I'm buying in. I guess the problem is also though, like they went up against Army, which is going to dilute your rushing stats. By that point, when they played Army in November, Army ditched the triple option, and then like 6 games through the season, they're like, all right, fuck this, go back to running the ball. And so by the time they caught Army, it was back to the triple. All right. It was back to heavy run. I wasn't the full on triple, but it was back to heavy rushing attack. And that's when when Army started to win some games, believe it or not. But yeah, I mean, those numbers, I thought they'd be a little bit better with Don Brown. How about you?
Yeah, especially because he's a defensive guy. That kind of, with the rushing stats also, if they were getting their ass beat by like Penn State or Auburn, they probably took the air out of the ball and just handed it off. I'm looking, Penn State ran for 250, but this is Don Brown's specialty. It is a little bit surprising. So I guess maybe you could chalk it up to he didn't have the depth that he would like, that maybe we're expecting they're going to have in year number 3 here with him just being around the block.
Yeah. And I think that year 3, they will be a better version of that. But I will say that they had 2 Power 5s on the schedule last year. They got 3 this year. So we'll watch that. We'll talk about that in a second. The defense only returns 3 starters on this defense. That's one way to look at it. If you're an ass, get them out of there. Get them out of there. All right, keep a couple of these guys. Isaiah Rutherford at the corner spot. Teray Powell at the strong safety spot. Linebacker Jarrell Johnson. Punter CJ Koladizi is back as well. Okay, I mean, you can't get worse. Not much worse, at least. They went out. Well, first off, they lost some guys. Now, you notice how no one came calling besides Indiana. Indiana saw one linebacker and said, maybe we can grab him. The rest, kind of a jump down. Maybe Arkansas State, you could say, is a little bit of a jump up. I don't even know. Depends on which Arkansas. Yeah. So, but they did go out and get a few guys. This is what's encouraging to me. And a lot of these guys are penciled in to start. Jalen Hudson comes in from Wake Forest with Dave Clawson. Well, to play for Dave Clawson, you have to be, okay, maybe you're a backup there at Wake, but I'm saying like he has to see something encouraging for you to be there. Brendan McElroy from San Diego State, who kept a good defense for a while there. Tim Grant Randall, who is projected to start, comes in from Eastern Michigan. You almost lost to them by 2. You almost beat them last year, lost by 2. What do? You go out and take a key player of their team. Love it. Etinoza Rubin comes in from Georgia Tech. Hey, Power 5 talent to UMass. Sign me up. Linebacker Macklin Ayers from fucking Dartmouth comes in. He's projected to start. Like I said, don't sleep. Some of these Ivy League guys can be good, man. I think people just assume. Cornerback Ryan Barnes comes in from Notre Dame. He is projected to start as well. Jashawn Watkins from Tennessee State comes in. Eddie George, the head coach there. Lake Ellis from Bryant, the Bulldogs. and Leonard St. Gordon, I think it is, from fucking Dartmouth, just grabbing in multiple guys from fucking Dartmouth. But dude, they won the portal on the defensive side without question to me.
Yeah, and I don't know what if they watch a bunch of Dartmouth film or what, but yeah, multiple guys from the Ivy. But this is also you look back on Don Brown's tenure the first time, year 2 to year 3, they took a big jump. You got to think that he knows what he wants with his defensive side of the football, and it was embarrassing the way that they got carved up on the ground. And you mentioned it, they're bringing in guys from programs like Wake, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. I definitely think that they won the portal on the defensive side. They got rid of all those guys that sucked last year, most importantly.
And like he walked into more of a disaster this time than the first time. Just the sheer talent on the roster is way higher than it was under Walt Bell, in my opinion. Like just way higher. Fumacha Khan, I think, could start at a lot of different programs. Some of those wideouts,
like 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like DJU Junior. Let's talk about this schedule. First off, the win total 3.5 wins.
Over.
I mean, my first reaction is let's ride. I think this team will be more as long as they can stay healthy. Obviously, MAC championship not available till next year. 12-team playoff. Wow. Okay. Plus 50,000. All right, to win the Natty, it's plus $1 million. What was that Biden drop? $100 million. That's what it takes for them to win the Natty. The schedule, though, I see opportunity right out the fucking gate. You lost by 2 at the factory last year in Ypsilanti. Now I do like Chris Creighton. I think Chris Creighton is a very good coach at Eastern Michigan, but I think Don Brown's a very good coach. I think it's actually one of the. I don't think people will find it entertaining, but I think it's actually one of the, like, if I had to compare teams that I think this might be one of the closer games of week 1. When I throw it out there and I'm computing in my head which games could be blowouts, which games could be, this team will win by 8. So I think this is like potential overtime game right here. Fuck it. Give me a win. Want to know? They beat New Mexico State last year in the opener. We saw what New Mexico State did. Give me 1-0. What are you doing here in Amherst?
Yeah, that was my whole logic too, is we saw Don Brown last year on months of preparation. Eastern Michigan lost a lot. They were able to squeeze out a bowl appearance because Creighton's a really good coach, but they did lose a lot. This is a great spot for UMass to start 1-0 at home in a game where they lost by 2 last year, and we don't think Eastern Michigan's as good. So yeah, let's go 1-0.
1-0 right there. Then they head to the Glass Bowl.
Ooh.
You're not going to win this one. Toledo's good. They almost went undefeated last year. I know they lose to Daquan Finn, but still, the backup played a couple years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, and he looked pretty damn good. I hope Don Brown pulls off an upset here, but I just think Toledo still on a different plateau right now than UMass. What are you doing here at the Glass Bowl?
Hey, they're going to lose this one. The next one is the one where it is winnable. Yes, out of the back-to-back road spot. So yeah, I got Toledo whacking them. Yes,
the next one, they head to UB Stadium there in Amherst, New York. So Amherst, Massachusetts versus Amherst, New York. Who's going to win this? You got to represent for Amherst here. Buffalo lost their head coach, Maurice Lindquist, who left for the defensive backs position at Alabama. So they went out and hired Pete Lembo. I actually kind of like the hire for Buffalo, but it's too early. And obviously these days, coaching change, mass exodus in the portal. I think UMass wins at UB Stadium. I got UMass 2-1, and with a good shot of going 3-1 here with the FCS coming to town. What are you doing here at UB Stadium?
I think this is one that they get, and I'm looking at it too. I got Buffalo pulled up. They're at Missouri week 2. I like fading them. Teams coming off those big Power 5 beat down, maybe a little bit banged up. So yeah, let's go. Don Brown 2-0 or 2-1. Sorry.
Yeah, 2-1, and like I feel like if they were playing Buffalo in November, it would be much more dicier. But you're getting Lembo in his first 3 games. It's a great time to get him.
Yep.
2-1. Then the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut State. The real Blue Devils come to town. Now I will say, Central Connecticut State's starting quarterback is Brady Olson, who transferred out of here because he lost the starting position to Fumajikon. So you do have a true fuck you story brewing with Central Connecticut State. I think UMass is more physical. I think they get it done. I think they're 3-1 out the gate. Are you fucking kidding me? The win total is 3.5. Let's go. What are you doing here?
This is the best part about taking these shitty teams on paper with the win totals of 3.5. They're going to be right there to break this thing headed into October. Yes, 3-1. Let's go.
3-1, and dude, winning breeds like confidence. You know what I mean? Like, so they're heading to their second back-to-back away in 6 games, which is just fucking insane. This is why being an independent is ridiculous. As much as I respect being independent in a way, saying we don't need your stinking conferences, but damn. It makes me think though, like Miami, Ohio won the MAC last year. They return a lot from that team. Now they did take some hits on the defensive side of the ball, and they were a defensive team last year. But it makes me think that this game is more winnable if you're 3-1 and buying into the culture. Now, yes, do you have to go to Jagerbaum Stadium? Yes, they lost by 13 at the McGurk a season ago. But I kind of like the fact they played last year. I think Don Brown will study that fucking tape through and through. I still got to take Miami, Ohio, but like, it would not shock me. Like on paper to me, that since Miami, Ohio got rated a little bit defensively, it's a lot closer this year than last year. I still got to go Miami, Ohio though. If this was in Amherst though, I'd be more intrigued to taking UMass. What are you doing here?
And they're coming off at Notre Dame too, so it's another good spot for UMass.
I know, body blow game too. Yeah,
and Miami of Ohio's got at Toledo the next week. Those are probably the 2 teams on paper that are favored in the
you're
MAC.
Selling me. That's a rivalry game too.
Yeah, this is sneaky, but I'll give it to Miami of Ohio. I like Chuck Martin. He runs a good program.
Yeah, and then back-to-back away here as they go to DeKalb to take on Northern Illinois. This is winnable.
They're making them earn the SMAC membership.
Yeah.
Road games.
We'll see how you are, you fuckers. All right, before you come in, you take us on. Dude, Rocky Lombardi's gone. This is winnable. Give me a win. Give me a win right here. They're beating Northern Illinois. The over cashes on October 5th. I think they're a more talented team right now. I really do. Now, I will say DeKalb, if this was in Amherst, I would feel great about this win. DeKalb, through the years, now Northern Illinois has kind of teetered off a little bit, but through the years, DeKalb's been a hard place to win there. What are you doing here?
I definitely think this is winnable because Northern Illinois is such an up and down team. And Lombardi, they got a new quarterback. They are also coming off as another team. They're coming off at NC State. So
body blow too.
Body blow. Let's go. I'll call for the upset here with you, and they get the over on October the 5th.
Well, let's go. You're cashing. You're cashing, and now it gets even better. Are you ready for this? Are you fucking ready for this? I had a shout out to Dan Wetzel I had on the show. He's a UMass grad. He wasn't even fucking familiar that an SEC team was coming into the McGurk. I had to break it to him. He goes, "Are you kidding me?" Missouri is coming into the McGurk. Let me tell you something. If you are 4-2 and you're taking on Missouri, look, I get it. Luther Burden is going to be a 1st-round draft pick. I'm not going to bullshit you here on that. He's going to be a 1st-round draft pick, right? Missouri's got talent, but they did lose their DC. And the point I've been making with my brother, NC Nick, who's very high on Missouri this year, and with great reason, the schedule is really good for Missouri this year. For some reason, Missouri wants to play every Northeast school. They got Buffalo, Boston College, and UMass on the schedule. But hear me out here. I watched that Middle Tennessee game last year. Middle Tennessee was a 4-win team, right? 4-win team. And they had Missouri on the fucking ropes, man. All right. I'm pulling up that score from that game. It was 23-19, 20-19 to a 4-win. Only won 3 games within the Conference USA. My point is that was at Farrell Field there in Columbia. All I'm saying is Don Brown's team will have this game circled. It's not often an SEC goes on the road to a group of 5. Do I need to remind you that the last time, I mean, look, Alabama went to South Florida last year, and that was a dogfight, by the way.
Yep.
But they did that because that was a pro stadium where they could bring half the crowd. The last time they truly played on a college campus, they went to Hawaii and they took a fucking L. All right. I'm just saying, you go to these group of 5 spots. I don't know how lit this place will be because I don't know. This isn't like a traditional, like if they were playing at like Wyoming or at App State or something, the place will be fucking packed. I'm not sure how much Amherst will come out for this game, but it wouldn't shock me if this is a game in the 4th quarter. Am I being fucking ridiculous?
No, not at all. Because this is a back-to-back road spot for Missouri as well. I think Missouri will win, but it'll be one of those kind of scares like middle, and Missouri walks away going, who the hell put this on the schedule in the middle of October, in the middle of SEC play a road game? This is great though.
Yeah. Look, for fun, I might take the money line just for fuck's sake. But yeah, so we both got them then at the same record right now as wins against EMU, Buffalo, Central Connecticut, and Northern Illinois. That's 4 wins on the over. You've already cashed, and 3 losses: Missouri, Miami, Ohio, and Toledo. They get a bye week, and then they're hosting the vacuum company known as Wagner. They got 2 FCSs, which means if you're thinking they're going to bowl, they got to win 7 games. But don't take the bowl. If there's a prop out there to go bowling, don't take that. They're beating Wagner though, and that moves them to 5 wins. So we are now 1.5 wins over 3.5. What are you doing here?
So what's the rule again? If you play 2 FCS, you got to win 7 games.
7, or like you could get in potentially on 5 if your academics are high enough.
That's kind of bullshit when they got to play 3 bye games against the SEC.
I know. They should like submit that. It is bullshit. It is, but then they'll say, "Well, you're independent. You agreed to the schedule."
Yeah,
so
true.
Yeah,
no, they'll beat the vacuum company. Let's go 5 wins, and then, I mean, Mississippi State's not that good, but it's still on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, it reminds me of like it's the Walmart argument of like the like Walmart employees were super pissed because they make sure they don't get any benefits, right? They cut them right before they would get benefits, right? Like they'll say, "Hey, you're done with your shift. We got someone else working." It's kind of a fucked up thing, but
yeah.
The backside of that argument is like, well, dude, you don't have to work here. You know they're gonna do this. You know what I mean? You know they're gonna do this. Is it shitty of them? Sure, both can be right, but you also don't have to work here. They head to Starkville. A hilarious game. They're gonna get their ass whooped here. But I am like, Mississippi State's a team I don't know how good they'll be this year. But if I almost wish this was the one in Amherst, because I think if this was the one in Amherst, I was ready to say like they're gonna win. But I think Hail State's home edge with the cowbells a little too much. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm with you. But I mean, that Auburn, New Mexico State game's always in the back of my mind where first year head coach, not that good a team, and maybe they have some injuries. So yeah, but yeah, I'll lean to Mississippi State and Starkville.
They get a bye week after that, and the Flamin' Libs come to town. Let me tell you something before we just go. Jamie Chadwell's a phenomenal coach. Caden Salter, that offense is going to fly. They're going to be much better in year 2, I think, than year 1. But Sam Houston had him on the fucking ropes. If Sam Houston had him on the ropes, UMass can have him on the ropes. I'll still take Liberty, but all I'm saying is it could be a game. It could be a game. What are you doing here?
How great would it be if they spoil Liberty's fucking college football playoff party here? Because I've heard everybody say Liberty's going to be that 12 seed. Liberty definitely has more dudes, but this would be hilarious if UMass got them up in Amherst to spoil their college football.
It could,
break.
man. I don't think
Off the bye.
Yeah. And then they play the annual they play their annual SEC foes, the Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah. What a ridiculous game on like everyone else is playing like heated games. UMass has got to go to Sanford Stadium to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Okay, this one's over. Loss.
Yeah, and it's bullshit because they need that UConn game, and then they got to play Georgia the week before.
I know, and UConn's gonna win because of that. I'm sorry, like I think they're due to beat UConn, but Georgia is the epitome of a body blow game. They're gonna no, UConn wins, but I still think it's a good season. You get what is it? What do we have? 5 wins, 5 wins, and you enter MAC play where I actually believe this program will be in better shape to contend in the MAC the following year season. So I think 5 wins, I feel pretty good about it too. Cause even if they lose to Buffalo, they could beat Miami, Ohio. You know what I mean? And we're 1.5 wins over. So like Central Connecticut State and Wagner are pretty much locks to me. Those 2 are going to hit. So then you're asking yourself, can you win 2 other games? Between Eastern Michigan, Buffalo, Northern Illinois, and Miami, Ohio. I think they get 2. They might even be able to get Liberty or UConn. I don't know, but I think the over is the play. I feel pretty good about it. Just like I did. I locked up last year's over. I feel pretty damn good about this one. I think the only way they fuck you is if I don't think they're as deep at the quarterback position. Carlos Davis is starting at Towson. The other guy, Olsen, starting at Central Connecticut State. Those are guys that got reps. So I do think if Fumachikant goes down, you could see a scenario where you go like 2-10. So, but I like the over and I feel pretty good about it. It might be on the locks episode. How about you?
I like the over too. You laid out the path. You get the 2 FCS. I think they got to get that Eastern Michigan game. That's at home. It's a revenge game. Eastern Michigan lost a lot. And then if you get that one, then you're sitting at 3 and you just need one between one of those MAC schools and even UConn. I mean, they can get UConn at home. We were talking about it's a bad spot, but it's still a winnable game. So yeah, I definitely like the over here. And Don Brown, year 3 was a big jump. I think this is kind of the version of the big jump. They're not in D2 like they were, but now at the level that they're at, I think going from 3 wins to 5 or 6 would be a great year headed into the MAC.
Let's go. I'm with you. And I think heading into MAC, like in year 4, he could have them actually contending, I think, in year 1. Depending on obviously the portal, but we'll see. I'm on the over. Moneyline Mac's on the over. Give Moneyline Mac a follow on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. Check out the Big 12 college experience. Check out the college basketball experience. Check out, for more on that. Like I said, the guy worked with Frank Martin, and Frank Martin's got this program heading in the right direction, like he does at every damn stop he's at. And then also check out the Ryan and Rush show. You see it there in the background. Got that West Virginia shit everywhere. That means the Ryan and Rush show. All right, get on over there. Check out the Ryan and Rush show. And yeah, excited about just the upcoming. We got now. I'm bummed out they're not playing a week 0 game. Can we move that Eastern Michigan game to week 0?
I think that's so great.
I know that's like a perfect game for week 0. What are we doing, folks? And it gives you another bye before Toledo. That would make sense. But hey, you know what? I'm just an idiot talking on a microphone. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. And youtube.com/the college experience. We're breaking down 134 teams. All right. So get on over there. All right. Check it all out. So hit that like and subscribe button. Please, iTunes too. Give us a 5-star review. What the hell are you doing right now? All right. What the hell are you doing right now? Get on over. It takes 2 minutes out of your day. 5-star review, the college football experience, iTunes. If you have an iPhone, you can just boom, pull it up. And Scott G in the chat saying Eastern Michigan is laying 1 at UMass. Oh, so we got a live dog.
Yeah, baby.
That's what I'm saying. The Vegas agrees with me because I didn't even look at the line before that. I just thought in my head, I was like, that game screams one of the better. Because let's be honest, all the other games, we're hoping Clemson Georgia is good. We think it might be good, right? Yeah. We're some of these big matchups, but they can have a tendency sometimes to just win by 14, 21, something like that. I feel like pretty damn. If I had to make a wager on which game is going to come down to the final play of the game, UMass and Eastern Michigan would be one of my first picks. Yeah. For week 1. So load up, folks. Yeah, we got a bunch more shit coming on. The Stadium Heads are about to go live in about 45 minutes with the Ivy League. Yes, we're giving our flowers to the Ivy League, some of the best stadiums in America when it comes to football. So check out that. Until next time, folks, this is the Umass Minutemen. 2024 season preview episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot.